welcome to Dialogue with Deidre. I'm your host, Deidre Malone. If you're watching us on NUTV1.com. We so appreciate your being one of our viewers and watching our show. We try and come to you every week on Wednesday, and we just love our interaction with you. And we want to thank those individuals that posted questions today for my guest here in the studio, Mr. Bennie Cobb, and he is a Democratic candidate for Shelby County Sheriff. So we're going to have a conversation with Bennie in the first half hour of this show. But first, before we get into it, I'd like to recognize that this is National Women's Month, and I'm wearing my pink and green. They have such a tight shot on me right now, but when they pull back and we do our two-shot, well, you'll be able to see that I'm wearing my AKA cardigan. Don't worry about it, Trivia. We'll get it in the two-shot. And so with that, one of the things I want to say as a part of that is that I want to recognize a woman that is so outstanding and who's given so much to this community, and her name is Velma Lois Jones. Let me just tell you a little bit about Velma Lois Jones. And if you are here in Memphis or any place in Tennessee, you've probably heard this name. In 2012, Velma Lois Jones was in Washington, D.C. to receive the Drum Majors for Service Award from the White House Office of Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships. She's a retired educator. Velma Lois graduated from Lemoyne College and earned her master's degree at Columbia University, Teachers College, and completed studies at the University of Memphis and Michigan State University. She served as president of the Tennessee Education Association and the first black classroom teacher ever elected to that prestigious post. That is a big deal. She also served as a board member for the National Education Association. She has been active in politics and civil rights. I serve with Velma Lois on the Memphis branch of the NAACP board. And also, she is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. Yes, it is the first African-American female sorority in this country, and we are both members of that sorority. But I do want to share with you one of the reasons why I'm honoring her today and paying tribute to her today is because she is one of the co-chairs of the Deidre Malone for Shelby County Mayor campaign. So, Sarah Velma Lois, thank you very much. So, we'll be paying tribute every week to a woman here in Memphis and Shelby County, and it could be you, so stay tuned. When we come back on Dialogue with Deidre, we'll start our conversation with Mr. Bennie Cobb. You're going to want to listen to this because this guy is a lifelong law enforcement professional, and he potentially could be the next sheriff of Shelby County, so you want to stay tuned. You're watching Dialogue with Deidre.
This past year, we all learned the statistics are true. 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys will experience child abuse, usually at the hands of someone they know. Child abuse happens every day. Learn the signs and take action, because keeping a child safe is everybody's business. Make a difference. Visit safehorizon.org to find out more. Safe Horizon, moving victims of violence from crisis to confidence.
Did you know that every 34 seconds someone has a heart attack? Every 40 seconds someone has a stroke. But it doesn't have to be that way. Every day there's hope. Join me and the American Heart Association and get serious about your heart and your health. If you're doing nothing, do something. If you're doing something, do more. Find healthy living solutions from the American Heart Association's My Heart, My Life. It's that simple.
Taylor Brown is my drugstore.
No, Taylor Brown is my drugstore.
Taylor Brown is our community drugstore.
No hassle transfer, auto refills, as well as a $4 generic program. Taylor Brown offers deliveries to all customers, including care homes, senior citizens, and hospice.
Taylor Brown accepts Express Scripts, Humana, Cigna, Medco, TennCare, and more.
And remember, it is by us, for us.
The Carter Malone Group is a full-service public relations agency. Celebrating 10 years of being in business, the Carter Malone Group is located in Midtown Memphis and represents clients across the country. No matter what size your business, if you are interested in promoting your product or service and increasing your market share, contact the firm that can help you meet your goals. The Carter Malone Group. Call 901-278-0881 today.
Watching me here. This is the iPad, and I'm talking to you on cable. This is our feed. You see, I just turned the iPad around on the screen. This is our feed, and also that we can do this on the cell phone too. So now, look at what I'm showing you. I'm showing you the future. You can watch us on the iPad. You can watch us on the smartphone. Same broadcast. You're watching us right now. Oh, you saw me put on the hat here. Now you see me put on the hat here. So there's a slight delay, but the bottom line is you're able to watch the show.
NFC, AFC, offensive linemen, defensive tackles, quarterbacks, and cornerbacks are all living united to ensure the academic success of millions of kids in our communities all the way to graduation day. But that won't happen without you. So take the pledge at unitedway.org. Make a difference in the life of a child. Suit up like your favorite NFL players and become a volunteer reader, tutor, or mentor with United Way.
When was the last time you visited a school cafeteria? Come and meet the staff and taste for yourself how school meals have changed. School meals are well balanced and meet federal nutrition standards. Every school lunch provides fat-free milk, whole grains, and more fruits and vegetables, including vitamin-rich dark greens. Many schools are serving locally grown foods and chef-inspired recipes that get kids excited about healthy choices. Brought to you by the School Nutrition Association.
back to Dialogue with Deidre. I'm your host, Deidre Malone. My guest is Bennie Cobb. Bennie and I go way back. We've known each other a long time. Bennie, welcome to Dialogue with Deidre.
Thank you for having me, Deidre.
Look, you are beginning a path that I'm excited about for you. You are, I don't think there's anybody in your primary. Do you have any primary opposition?
No primary opposition.
Okay, so you're getting ready for the general.
Right.
Now is the time for you to start getting ready for the general.
Exactly.
So I want everybody to know that Bennie is the Democratic candidate running for Shelby County Sheriff.
Right.
Talk to me about why you're interested in being the next sheriff of Shelby County.
Well, Deidre, it's been a long journey. And I sit here with you and think about people like yourself and me. It's an opportunity to shatter the glass ceiling, the ceiling that's been placed over us that says that we haven't been given opportunities or we were not the right person at the right time. So this is the right time. I spent 30 years in law enforcement and corrections, and I've been working for this opportunity my whole career. I grew up downtown Memphis, former Hurt Village in Lemoyne Garden. And I've seen so many of my friends and people that I grew up with that have fell by the wayside. And I've had opportunities, I've been given opportunities, I've earned opportunities. I've had a wonderful law enforcement career. I had a wonderful correctional career. And I was happily retired. I retired about 3 years ago. But I started receiving so many phone calls from citizens and political figures about, we need help, crime is out of control, there's no intervention in our community. And my response was, I'm retired. But when your friends and your family and the people that you know call you and ask you to continue serving, that's what you have to do. And that's why I decided to run for sheriff again.
Well, I'm glad that you're out here. And when you talked about how you grew up and where you grew up, immediately, you know, what came to mind was Dr. Willie Harrington.
Exactly.
You know, he grew up in downtown Memphis, just like you, and look at what happened to him.
Right.
I mean, he was the first African-American superintendent for Memphis City Schools, and then went on and became the first African-American elected mayor of Memphis.
Right.
And so, you know, with your background, I'm excited for you. And doesn't it make you feel good when people call you and ask you to serve? Because you could be happily retired, like I could be at my business, running my business, but when people call you because of your history of service, you have to step up and step out there.
I was called over a year ago, in December. I remember very well several political figures and community leaders called, and I was out with my grandchildren. They were like, "Can you meet with us?" I'm with my grandchildren now, but I did meet with them, and I had started a business. I'm the executive director of security for the Overton Park Levitt Shell, and we have a wonderful business going. And I was hesitant. As a matter of fact, I was absolutely against it, but they kept after me. And I had so many calls from the community, gangs in my neighborhood, these gang signs, domestic violence. My lady called me, her daughter was shot in a domestic violence incident, and she called me wanting some help, and I was able to direct her to the resources. And then I found out that the young lady that was shot is friends with my son and my niece, and they were distraught, and they were upset that this had happened. So it got me to thinking more and more, we need somebody to be a part of the community to help be a part of the solution to some of the crime that's going on. So that was another motivating factor for me.
What do you think differentiates you from the current Republican sheriff?
Well, I know the community. I understand the ills and the problems of the inner city. Having grown up, now of course I live in Lakeland. I built a house for my family about 20 years ago, but my heart has always been for service. From Raleigh to Whitehaven to Orange Mound, I've always been a part of those communities because I am those communities. What differentiates me from the current sheriff is that sheriff, the Republican sheriff, is absent. He's absent from the mainstream community, the people that should be inclusive, but they're exclusive when it comes to service. Years ago, of course, the sheriff department traditionally patrolled the outskirts of Shelby County. Mm-hmm. No more should that be. The inner city, the city of Memphis, taxpayers pay into Shelby County funding for the sheriff department. I've worked for 5 sheriffs over my career. Never have I seen the sheriff department as absent in the mainstream of community issues as the sheriff's department is at this particular time.
It's funny that you should mention that, Benny, because when I was on the commission, one of the things I would ask the sheriff at the time, and that was Mark Luttrell, why are you not patrolling or having deputies in the inner city high schools? And if Harvey Kennedy is listening right now, and I know Mark's got somebody watching this show, they'll remember this conversation, because the sheriff's department at the time would obtain grants to put deputies in the suburban high schools. Right. And on the record, I would ask each year, we're paying money to put MPD officers in Memphis City schools. We can do the same thing. Memphis, I want our citizens to realize, Memphis is the largest municipality in Shelby County.
Exactly.
And if you live in Memphis, you can vote for sheriff.
Right.
You can vote for county mayor. And a lot of people don't realize that. I was so glad to hear you say you live in Lakeland. Mm-hmm. I live in Midtown, and we're both running for countywide office, right?
Right.
So if you're a registered voter here in Shelby County, then you can vote for one of us.
And you're exactly right. And the thing that I've heard more and more since I've started campaigning, 2 things that really resonates with me. I have people calling me, saying to me, who is the sheriff and who are these people that's coming out to speak on his behalf? It appears to them that the sheriff should be able to come out and speak on his own behalf, but they say they have never seen him. The ironic thing about it, when we do ask in the communities, different communities, who's the sheriff, the overall response is Mark Luttrell or I don't know.
Really?
And that's the response that we're getting.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. And I'm glad to hear that you're back. You've never left the community, and you're out speaking to different groups, even, outside of the campaign. I think you're going to be at an event this weekend.
Right.
Talk to me about the Domestic Violence Summit.
Well, I spoke briefly about the young lady that was shot by a boyfriend. But in last year alone, my niece and my son had 3 of their friends that were victims of domestic violence, and 2 of them were fatally slain. That devastated them. So what I have always done is been an advocate for domestic violence prevention. Joyce Parkinson and Sharon Rook are great advocates. They put on programs, they try to have intervention, they try to have prevention, and they invited me as a guest panelist, which will be held at the Church Health Center this Saturday from 10:30 to 12:30. I'm excited about it because I have so much to share, and I'm excited that they believe in me enough that they want me to come and be on the panel. Now, domestic violence is a very serious issue.
It is.
Not only physically, but mentally and psychologically. And from there, I have to go to Raleigh Frazier, my good friend Charlie Caswell. They're having a crime summit over there, and crime is running rapid in the city. As the next sheriff, I want the citizens to know that I have a plan of action, that I understand what has to be done, what needs to be done to help impact the crime inside Memphis and Shelby County. Now, that's not taking anything away from the Memphis Police Department.
Right.
Director Tony Armstrong has his hands full. He and I grew up together.
And he's a great guy.
Great
Love
guy.
me some Tony Armstrong.
A ditto on that. He's a wonderful guy, but it's just not his problem alone.
Right. Should be a partnership.
It should be a partnership. And Tony Armstrong knows that I have the ability to partnership with him. When we were working law enforcement officers, we worked well together. If a crime happened that went spilled over into the county or went back into the city, we shared information. We worked well together, so I can continue that same partnership.
That's good to hear. Now, you mentioned Charlie Caswell, and one thing that we like to do on Dialogue with Deidre is we share with our viewers who our guests are going to be, and we ask them to post questions so we can ask those questions when the guests are on the air. So I have two questions, and I think one is primarily for you, and I think one's for both of us. So the first question is from our good friend Charlie Caswell. He says, good morning, Mayor Deidre Malone. I pray all is well. My question to you as the next mayor and to Mr. Bennie Cobb as the next sheriff, would you all consider putting funding in your budget to fund a youth task force that would focus on providing more opportunities after school for our youth, since Shelby County controls the schools and sheriff officers are working in the schools? I believe we could use more sheriff officers working with community groups in the inner city to help youth build that bond and relationships that will make youth believe that they can share with these officers, preventing more school violence. Bennie, what do you think?
I think that's a very appropriate question from Charlie, and he's exactly right. There should be a partnership with law enforcement, sheriff's office, Memphis Police Department, and there's always been a partnership. Years ago, there was a partnership with the sheriff's office, the Drug Be Free campaign. There are federal dollars and grants available for exactly the same thing that Charlie is talking about. It has to be, somebody has to have the desire to make this work. As the sheriff, I commit to Charlie and to the citizens of Memphis and Shelby County that I have that partnership, because I know that prevention and intervention is the key. You can't lock them up after the fact. You can't just respond to a call. You have to have some kind of program in place that let the young people know that you're part of and understand their issues and their problems, and you have to be ready to impact that by being a part of the integral part of the community.
And I'm right there with you, Bennie. You know, as the next mayor of Shelby County, I would commit to looking for grants, and then, you know, after we're in a position where we can obtain those grants, we have to always think long term and be able to sustain those programs. So trying to figure out how we're going to raise the money after the grant goes out to continue to support those programs. Because what we don't want to do, because this could be a really vital program to help deter crime for our youth. And it may be, you know, we look at, can we partner with the city of Memphis on grant opportunities? Like they have the ambassadors program there at City Hall. What can the county do differently, but also see what are the opportunities for us to work together with the city and obtain those grants, and then figure out how are we going to sustain them once that grant funding is no longer there. So that will be my commitment to Charlie.
And let me add to that, Deidre. I see so often what we're doing is we're spending money on the back end with incarceration.
That's right.
And trying to deal with the situation after it's already happened. We can take some of those same funds and some of the same ideas and say, let's put this money and let's put these efforts on the front end and create a prevention effort. So, and I think that's very appropriate.
I think it's very appropriate. I think, and that's that same mindset when it comes to funding education. If we put the money and hold the school system accountable for the education piece, and the parents now, we not, you know, as a parent, you know, you're accountable, then some of this crime will be prevented. But I can tell you, coming from a family that didn't have much, that, you know, after my dad died when I was 13, and my mom, who had never worked before, had to figure out how she was going to provide for her 5 kids, that sometimes it was tough. And so, but we weren't out there, you know, knocking folks over the head. Now, you know, my brothers might have done it when they got older, but when we were growing up, that didn't happen. And so it's tough, You know, some parents are working 2 and 3 jobs just trying to provide for their families, and some kids are at home, you know, some children are at home, you know, after school by themselves.
Right.
So these after school programs and these community centers are so critical to helping, you know, some of them just make it.
You're exactly right.
Okay, Mr. Seth Miller also had a question
Okay.
for us, Benny. Good morning, Deidre and Benny. My question is pertaining to crime and unskilled workers. I wonder how hard would it be to develop a conflict resolution curriculum in pre-K or some type of early childhood development classes. Secondly, education and economics play a major role in crime. He's so right. My second question is, how are you going to address the need of a more skilled workforce? The country is at a crossroad with minimum wages and workers' rights, so I feel we should prepare for the rain. Okay? I do know, Benny, that there are some conflict resolution programs within some of the school systems, specifically Shelby County schools. I'm not as up on it as I probably need to be, and I'll ask some questions and get some additional information. But directly to Seth's point, there is a correlation between not having job opportunities and crime.
Oh, yeah.
And so, you know, having served on the Workforce Development Board for the state of Tennessee, having served on the WIN board, I do know that there are free training opportunities here through workforce investment. And so my hope is that as we look at the businesses that we're bringing to Memphis and Shelby County, that we look at, you know, are there opportunities to train individuals who need jobs for some of those skill sets that those businesses need? Because I think we missed the mark when it came to Electrolux. You know, I remember reading an article probably about 3 months ago where it stated, now, you know, I wasn't on the EDGE board then, but the folks who were on the Industrial Development Board knew when they were granting those incentives, the types of jobs that were going to be needed. So, you know, we should have been planning then to try and train individuals for those very technical kind of jobs. Right. So to read a couple of months ago that, you know, they had a difficult time trying to find, you know, the skilled workforce that they needed, come on.
I understand.
We should have been working on that.
Right.
So my commitment as the next mayor of Shelby County will be to make sure that as, you know, EDGE, who is our economic development board, as they grant those incentives to these companies, we're thinking long term about how we're going to train Memphis and Shelby Countyans on so they can obtain some of those jobs, because that's important.
Right. And I would say to you that the commitment from my perspective as sheriff, we have to groom the young people. And I know as the sheriff or as the law enforcement official, the only thing you can do is partnership with that. But you have to have a desire to partnership. There are opportunities for law enforcement to be big brothers and mentors and go out and get more involved in the community than we have been over the last several years. So with my commitment to that partnership and your commitment to the job market, the workforce development, I think that we could have some success.
I think you're absolutely right. Now I'm going to ask you a real tough question.
Okay.
I had an opportunity to stand with a group of deputy jailers probably about a month ago outside of the CJC, and they have major concerns about the jail. And as the chief law enforcement, senior law enforcement officer for West Tennessee, when you're elected, that would be you.
Right.
You're also responsible for the jail.
Right.
That's correct?
Right.
So what would you do to make sure that those deputy jailers, they have tough jobs, are you know, working in a safe environment? I mean, it's a dangerous environment. I mean, and they have major concerns.
But Deidre, a little known fact is that I was one of the first 100 deputy jailers that was hired when the jail opened in 1981. At the time, it was called the Glamour Slammer. And I was one of that first group of 100. So I understand the inner workings of jails. Not only that, when the penal farm went on strike several years ago, I was one of the officers to go over there. So I worked in 4 correctional facilities in my career in the county jail for 7 years. I actually was a head rank in the county jail before I went into the law enforcement side. And exactly what you're saying exactly, is true. I've had so many deputy jailers to call me, and they don't feel inclusive in the sheriff's office. They feel like nobody cares. There's a major illness going on that they have a concern about. There's manpower shortage. There's a feeling of disrespect and disregard. But you have to understand, you have to have walked in those shoes to understand how they really feel.
Right.
And I've walked in those shoes, and I get phone calls and I have meetings with deputy jailers all the time, and they say the same thing to me that you are saying. So I know. So what would I do? Inclusiveness is the first thing. To sit down and hear what the problems are and not sit on the 9th floor and depend on somebody else to sugarcoat it, to hide it, or not tell you the whole story. You have to be inclusive, and you have to know firsthand what's going on. And I have the desire, understanding, and knowledge to do that.
I'm glad to hear you say that, Bennie, because I stood there as I stood with them, and as we prayed, and as I listened to their concerns, I knew that as the sheriff, as the mayor, there probably wouldn't be much that I could do outside of listening to their concerns and sharing their concerns with the sheriff. But I wanted them to know that at any point they needed me to stand with them, I'd be there.
Exactly.
All they needed to do was call me. And so from that big bully pulpit that I'm going to have, you know, they'd have an ally in me. So I'm glad to hear you say that you would include them, that they'd be at the table, you'd listen to their concerns, and whatever you could do to work with them, you try and make that happen. Okay. So when we come back, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk to Bennie just for a few more minutes, and then we're going to let him scoot out of here. And then I'm going to talk to you about President Obama's budget, as well as the Regional Medical Center is no more. It's called Regional One Health. They've rebranded. We want to talk to you a little bit about that as well. When you come back, you're watching Dialogue with Deidre.
This past year, we all learned the statistics are true. 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys will experience child abuse, usually at the hands of someone they know. Child abuse happens every day. Learn the signs and take action, because keeping a child safe is everybody's business. Make a difference. Visit safehorizon.org to find out more. Safe Horizon, moving victims of violence from crisis to confidence.
Did you know that every 34 seconds someone has a heart attack? Every 40 seconds someone has a stroke? But it doesn't have to be that way. Every day there's hope. Join me and the American Heart Association and get serious about your heart and your health. If you're doing nothing, do something. If you're doing something, do more. Find healthy living solutions from the American Heart Association's My Heart, My Life. It's that simple.
Taylor Brown is my drugstore.
No, Taylor Brown is my drugstore.
Taylor Brown is our community drugstore.
no hassle transfer, auto refills, as well as a $4 generic program. Taylor Brown offers deliveries to all customers, including care homes, senior citizens, and hospice.
Taylor Brown accepts Express Scripts, Humana, Cigna, Medco, TennCare, and more.
And remember, it is by us, for us.
The Carter Malone Group is a full-service public relations agency. Celebrating 10 years of being in business, the Carter Malone Group is located in Midtown Memphis and represents clients across the country. No matter what size your business, if you are interested in promoting your product or service and increasing your market share, contact the firm that can help you meet your goals. The Carter Malone Group. Call 901-278-0881 today.
Watching me here. This is the iPad, and I'm talking to you on cable. This is our feed. You see, I just turned the iPad around on the screen. This is our feed, and also that we can do this on the cell phone too. So now, look at what I'm showing you. I'm showing you the future. You can watch us on the iPad. You can watch us on the smartphone. Same broadcast. You're watching us right now. Oh, you saw me put on the hat here. Now you see me put on the hat here. So there's a slight delay, but the bottom line is you're able to watch the show.
NFC, AFC, offensive linemen, defensive tackles, quarterbacks, and cornerbacks are all living united to ensure the academic success of millions of kids in our communities all the way to graduation day. But that won't happen without you. So take the pledge at unitedway.org. Make a difference in the life of a child. Suit up like your favorite NFL players and become a volunteer reader, tutor, or mentor with United Way.
When was the last time you visited a school cafeteria? Come and meet the staff and taste for yourself how school meals have changed. School meals are well balanced and meet federal nutrition standards. Every school lunch provides fat-free milk, whole grains, and more fruits and vegetables, including vitamin-rich dark greens. Many schools are serving locally grown foods and chef-inspired recipes that get kids excited about healthy choices. Brought to you by the School Nutrition Association.
To Dialogue with Deidre. My final question for Democratic candidate for Shelby County Sheriff, I was about to say mayor, I'm so used to saying mayor. Sheriff Bennie Cobb is, if somebody wants to get in touch with you to invite you to an event or get involved in your campaign, how do they reach out to you, Bennie?
Well, we're building our team up right now. My phone number that I can be contacted is 901-649-8539. Our website will be online and by this weekend, and it's Cobb, C-O-B-B, for sheriff.com. So contact me. I'm willing and ready to come talk to the community, share my knowledge and experience, and we're headed to the sheriff's office.
Good to have you on the show, Bennie. Thank you so much,
Thank you
and good
very
luck to
Thank you
you.
very much. Same
And
to
I know
you.
I'll see you on the campaign trail.
Yes, thank you.
You're watching Dialogue with Deidre. When we come back, we're going to have a conversation about President Obama's proposed budget. And then we're going to talk to you about the rebranding of the Regional Medical Center. They don't want you calling it the Med anymore. It has a new name, and we're going to talk about that when we come back. See you in a few.
This past year, we all learned the statistics are true. 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys will experience child abuse, usually at the hands of someone they know. Child abuse happens every day. Learn the signs and take action, because keeping a child safe is everybody's business. Make a difference. Visit safehorizon.org to find out more. Safe Horizon, moving victims of violence from crisis to confidence.
Did you know that every 34 seconds someone has a heart attack? Every 40 seconds someone has a stroke? But it doesn't have to be that way. Every day there's hope. Join me and the American Heart Association and get serious about your heart and your health. If you're doing nothing, do something. If you're doing something, do more. Find healthy living solutions from the American Heart Association's My Heart, My Life. It's that simple.
The Carter Malone Group is a full-service public relations agency. Celebrating 10 years of being in business, the Carter Malone Group is located in Midtown Memphis and represents clients across the country. No matter what size your business, if you are interested in promoting your product or service and increasing your market share, contact the firm that can help you meet your goals. The Carter Malone Group. Call 901-278-0881 today.
NFC, AFC, offensive linemen, defensive tackles, quarterbacks, and cornerbacks are all living united to ensure the academic success of millions of kids in our communities all the way to graduation day. But that won't happen without you. So take the pledge at unitedway.org. Make a difference in the life of a child. Suit up like your favorite NFL players and become a volunteer reader, tutor, or mentor with United Way.
When was the last time you visited a school cafeteria? Come and meet the staff and taste for yourself how school meals have changed. School meals are well balanced and meet federal nutrition standards. Every school lunch provides fat-free milk, whole grains, and more fruits and vegetables, including vitamin-rich dark greens. Many schools are serving locally grown foods and chef-inspired recipes that get kids excited about healthy choices. Brought to you by the School Nutrition Association.
I'm Dominique Dawes. How do you start your day? I always start with a healthy breakfast. Whether you're practicing for a game or studying for a test, eating breakfast every day can improve your concentration and help you perform your best. Kids who eat a healthy breakfast have more energy to work hard and play hard. That's why you should check out your school's breakfast program. It's for everyone, so make sure you energize your day. Eat school breakfast.
7,000 high school students drop out every school day. That's a line of desks more than 4 miles long. We can keep students in school. Visit boostup.org and take the first step.
President Barack Obama, my president, I love him, you know that. He delivered his budget presentation yesterday, I believe, and let me just tell you what are some of the key proponents of the budget. Stronger growth and job creation when it comes to advanced manufacturing, research and innovation, pro-growth infrastructure, and government reform are some of the areas that the president is advancing. He's laying out, specifically from an infrastructure standpoint, a very ambitious 4-year, $302 billion surface transportation reauthorization proposal bid. With that transition revenue from pro-growth business tax reform. He supports groundbreaking research to fight disease and protect the environment and develop new technologies, and that makes permanent the R&D tax credit. And in terms of advanced manufacturing, invest in American innovation and strengthens our manufacturing base, including a national network of 45 manufacturing institutes. So that's kind of his focus for a stronger growth and job creation. And for opportunity for all, the president is recommending tax cuts for working Americans, doubles the maximum value of the childless worker, preschool for all, thank goodness for that, invests in the president's vision of making access to high-quality preschool available for every 4-year-old child. Parents, this could be a definite benefit to you if you have a 4-year-old. And then job-driven training. Invest in new efforts to drive greater performance and innovation in workforce training to equip workers with skills that match the needs of employers. And that's something that we were talking about a little bit earlier with Bennie Cobb about the fact that, you know, as we try and bring businesses here to Memphis and Shelby County, some of them are moving away from, you know, just having workers come in and do a lot of the work to a lot of technology-driven practices. And so they still do need individuals to program or to work with the robotics. And so we want to make sure that Shelby Countyans have that opportunity to be trained so they can have those opportunities for jobs. Fiscal responsibility. Continue historic progress in slowing healthcare costs growth, builds on the savings and reforms in the Affordable Care Act with additional measures to strengthen Medicare and Medicaid, to slow healthcare costs growth, and to improve the quality of care. That is so important, specifically in this environment when we're not sure what's going to happen with the state of Tennessee. We know that Governor Haslam has already said that he is not in support of the Medicaid expansion, specifically the Affordable Care Act, and he's asking the federal government to come back and make recommendations on a different type of plan for Tennessee. I just wish he would support it. And I know his concern probably is the fact that with his Republican majority legislature, that it would probably have a difficult time trying to get it passed. But, you know, I'm a firm believer in if it's something that you believe in and you think it's the right thing to do, you have to at least ask for it and then let the chips fall where they may. Pro-growth tax reform, immigration reform, and to further reduce the deficit and the debt. So by paying for new investments and tackling our true fiscal challenges, the president believes that he can reduce the deficit by 1.6% of GDP by 2024 and stabilize debt as a share of the economy by 2015, and it puts it on a declining path after that, which is awesome. So before we get out of here, Eddie, do me a favor and pull up the Regional Medical Center. It's not called the Regional Medical Center anymore. It's called Regional One Health. And the whole concept is to, you know, the Regional One Health is now the umbrella organization for a number of entities associated with the hospital. Primary care clinics that used to be called the Health Loop clinics, and there are 4 of those. You know, I know about those because my husband is the chief medical officer there. So they're now under the Regional One Health network. And so the primary care network, they can see you at any of their clinics, but the whole new look and feel of their website is very progressive. And their whole concept by rebranding the hospital and their network is to try and get individuals to see that it's not a charity hospital. They're a hospital for everyone. That's the reason they acquired land out east, and they're partnering with other primary care institutions to try and get people to see that they would like to have a mix, a good, strong payer mix, people who have insurance as well as people who have Medicaid and Medicare. So check out that website and let us know what you think about their new look. I kind of like that little R, the Regional One Health. Kind of wish, you know, LaTrivia, that they had hired the Carter Malone Group to rebrand their organization, but they didn't do that. But whoever they hired, they did an outstanding job, and I know that it was under the leadership of my good friend Tish Towns. Way to go, Tish. So we're going to be calling you Miss Tish because we really do want Dr. Reginald Coopwood on our show to talk about what's going on with Regional One Health. So we mentioned that, as I said, and check out that website and see what they have going on. I also want to mention that, you know, we've talked about on our show the fact that the Carter Malone Group is the sponsor of the Controlling How Your Cookie Crumbles New Entrepreneur Symposium. Our final symposium for this year is this Saturday, and it is at the Orange Mound Community Center, and it is not too late to register. You're going to want to be there on Saturday because our featured speaker is none other than the founder, the event master, the master promoter, Mr. Fred Jones. He's going to be our featured speaker, and he's going to talk about how he started out in business, and I'm sure you're going to learn some tidbits that can help you as you start your business. Of course, our regular guest presenters will be there. My friends who are doing this for me out of the kindness of their hearts, Alandis Dobbins, who is the director of More, Natasha Donnerson, who is the president and CEO of Success Unlimited, Cynthia Norwood, who is the managing director for Alt Consulting, and my good friend Nita Black, who is the owner of Map Momentum. And then yours truly will tell you how to move your projects, your products, your services off the shelf. You know, that is if you're making cookies. But if you're making something else, we're going to tell you how to move those items off the shelf as well. And then last but not least, before we wrap up today, I'd like to give a shout out to the men of Omega Sci-Fi Fraternity for inviting me out last night to just share my platform with them about the reason why I'm running for Shelby County Mayor. My good friend Clint Vaughn, thank you for the invitation, and president of the chapter, Mr. Glenn Sesson, thank you so much for welcoming me into your home and letting me share my message with your members. And then also another shout out to members of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority and friends of Deidre Malone for being there for me. And to my viewers, thank you so much for watching. You're watching Dialogue with Deidre, and we'll be back next week, same time, with something that I think that can help you. So enjoy the rest of your week and see us again on Wednesday.
This past year, we all learned the statistics are true. 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys will